My child. Pause for a moment, because what happened last night was not expected by anyone in that room. There was a conversation taking place about you. A conversation that was supposed to be simple. A conversation that was supposed to move in one direction. But then one voice entered the discussion, and everything changed. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. Your person never expected their own brother to say what he said. At first, the evening felt ordinary. People were talking. Stories were being shared. Names came and went through the conversation. No one imagined that your name would suddenly become the center of attention. Yet somehow it did. And when it happened, the atmosphere shifted. Your person tried to stay calm. They tried to act as if hearing your name did not affect them. But inside, their heart reacted immediately. Because the truth is, you have been on their mind far more than they have admitted. Far more than anyone realizes. Even during moments when they seemed distant. Even during moments when they appeared silent. Even during moments when they acted as though nothing important was happening. You were there. In their thoughts. In their questions. In their future. And last night, that hidden reality slowly began coming to the surface. At first, someone casually mentioned you. Just a simple remark. Nothing dramatic. Nothing shocking. But then another person added something else. And then another. The conversation grew. Your person listened carefully. Trying not to reveal too much. Trying not to let anyone see what was happening inside. But their brother noticed. Their brother noticed everything. He noticed the way your person's eyes changed whenever your name appeared. He noticed the way they suddenly paid attention. He noticed the way their entire energy shifted. And then, the brother smiled. Not because he was mocking them. Not because he was creating trouble. But because he had finally understood something important. Something that had been hidden in plain sight. Something everyone else had missed. Stay till the end. Because what happened next changed everything. The room became quieter. The discussion continued. Different opinions were shared. Different possibilities were mentioned. But then the brother leaned forward. And with complete confidence, he spoke. The moment he began talking, everyone listened. Because he was not the kind of person who spoke without meaning. When he shared an observation, people paid attention. And what he said left the entire room silent. He said something that nobody expected. He said, "I don't think this is just another person." The room froze. The words were simple. Yet the impact was powerful. Because everyone understood exactly what he meant. Your person immediately looked away. Trying to hide their reaction. Trying to remain composed. But their brother wasn't finished. Not even close. He continued. And every sentence felt stronger than the one before. He spoke about the way your person had changed recently. The way they smiled differently. The way they seemed more hopeful. The way they appeared more focused. The way they talked about the future. The way they carried themselves. The way they reacted whenever certain topics came up. One by one, he connected the dots. And suddenly everyone could see what he saw. A picture began forming. A picture involving you. Your person became nervous. Because the truth they had been keeping private was slowly becoming visible. Not through confession. Not through explanation. But through observation. The brother had noticed what nobody else had noticed. And once he started speaking, there was no stopping the conversation. Questions began appearing. Curiosity filled the room. People wanted to know more. People wanted answers. And your person found themselves trapped between silence and honesty. Don't skip. Because this is where the story becomes unforgettable. The brother then said something that changed the energy completely. He said, "Whenever this person's name comes up, you become someone else." Silence. Deep silence. Nobody laughed. Nobody interrupted. Because everyone knew there was truth in those words. Your person's heart raced. For a moment, they couldn't even respond. Because hearing someone else describe their feelings so accurately was unexpected. The brother wasn't guessing. He wasn't imagining things. He was speaking facts. And everyone knew it. The conversation no longer felt casual. Now it felt important. Now it felt meaningful. Now it felt as if something bigger was unfolding. Your person sat there wondering how much their brother truly knew. How much had he noticed? How long had he been paying attention? How many signs had been visible without anyone realizing? The answers were surprising. Because he had noticed more than anyone imagined. He had been watching quietly. Listening carefully. Understanding things long before anyone else did. And last night, he finally decided to speak. Something huge is waiting for you. Because what came next was even more shocking. The brother looked directly at your person and said something that nobody expected. He said, "You keep pretending this doesn't matter." Another silence. Another moment where nobody moved. The statement landed with incredible force. Because it exposed something hidden. Your person had been pretending. Pretending they were unaffected. Pretending they were uncertain. Pretending they were simply moving through life. But deep down, something was growing. Something real. Something impossible to ignore forever. And their brother saw it clearly. Perhaps clearer than anyone else. The room suddenly felt different. The discussion was no longer about possibilities. It was about truth. A truth slowly finding its way into the open. Your person's eyes lowered. Not because they were ashamed. But because sometimes the truth becomes overwhelming when someone finally says it out loud. The brother continued speaking. His words were calm. Measured. Thoughtful. Yet every sentence carried weight. He spoke about timing. About connection. About meaningful encounters. About the rare people who enter your life and leave a lasting mark. And while he never spoke dramatically, everyone felt the importance behind his words. Even your person. Especially your person. Because every sentence seemed connected to you. Every observation pointed toward you. Every conclusion brought the conversation back to you. Stay till the end. Because what happened after this became impossible to forget. For the first time during the entire evening. Your person stopped denying their feelings. Not verbally. Not directly. But through silence. A silence that said more than words ever could. And their brother noticed. The room noticed. Everyone noticed. That silence became the loudest answer of the night. No argument. No explanation. No denial. Just silence. And sometimes silence reveals everything. What nobody understood at that moment was that the conversation was only beginning. Because the brother had one final thing to say. One final observation. One final statement. A statement so unexpected that it would leave everyone thinking long after the night ended. And when those words finally came out, nothing would ever feel quite the same again. Because sometimes one conversation changes everything. Sometimes one observation reveals a hidden truth. And sometimes the person who sees the truth first is not the one living the story, but the one standing beside it. And last night, your person's brother saw something that nobody else could ignore. Something that was impossible to explain away. Something connected directly to you. What he said next would become the moment everyone remembered. A strange silence settled over the room, and for a few seconds nobody knew what to say. The brother looked around calmly, almost as if he had been waiting for this exact moment for a very long time. Everyone could feel that he was holding back one final thought. One final truth. One final observation that had been sitting quietly in his mind. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The energy inside that conversation was no longer ordinary. It had become something unforgettable. Your person could feel it. Everyone else could feel it. And then the brother finally spoke again. His voice was steady. His expression was serious. He said, "The reason this person keeps appearing in your life isn't random." The room immediately became silent once more. Nobody interrupted. Nobody looked away. Because those words carried a weight that nobody expected. Your person's heart started racing. They had spent so much time trying to explain away their feelings. They had told themselves countless stories. They had created countless reasons. Yet hearing someone else say those words made everything feel different. It was as if a hidden door had suddenly opened. The brother continued. He said that every time your name appeared, the entire atmosphere around your person changed. He said that even when they tried to act normal, there was always something different in their eyes. Something hopeful. Something alive. Something impossible to fake. The room listened carefully. And then he said something that nobody expected. "I think this person changed your future long before you realized it." The words landed heavily. Your person immediately became emotional inside, even though they tried not to show it. Because deep down, they knew there was truth in those words. They knew things had changed. They knew their perspective had changed. They knew their dreams had changed. And somehow, every road kept leading back to you. Don't skip. Because what happened next completely transformed the conversation. One family member suddenly asked a question nobody expected. They asked, "Do you think this connection is really that important?" Everyone turned toward the brother. The answer he gave shocked the entire room. He smiled softly and said, "If it wasn't important, we wouldn't still be talking about it." Silence. Complete silence. The kind of silence that only appears when someone says something undeniable. And in that moment, everyone understood. This was no longer a casual discussion. This was no longer curiosity. This was no longer speculation. Something much deeper was being acknowledged. Something that could not be ignored anymore. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because before the night ended, another statement would be made. A statement so surprising that your person would continue thinking about it long after everyone went home. And when those words were finally spoken, they would change the way your person looked at everything connected to you forever. Long after the conversation should have ended, nobody left the topic behind. That alone was unusual. Normally, people move on. Normally, discussions fade. Normally, attention shifts elsewhere. But not this time. Last night was different. Your name remained in the room even when nobody was speaking it. The brother could see it. Everyone could feel it. And your person was beginning to realize that hiding their feelings had become impossible. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The brother leaned back in his chair and looked directly at your person. There was no judgment in his eyes. No pressure. Just certainty. The kind of certainty that comes from seeing something clearly. Then he said something that nobody expected. You know what's interesting? Everyone waited. The room became completely still. And then he continued. Every time you talk about the future, this person is already there. The words hit differently. Because they weren't talking about a memory. They weren't talking about the past. They were talking about the future. A future that somehow always seemed connected to you. Your person immediately looked away. Not because the statement was wrong. But because it was too accurate. Too precise. Too real. For a moment nobody spoke. Then another family member quietly asked, "How long have you noticed this?" The brother smiled. What he said next shocked everyone. He said, "Longer than all of you." Suddenly the conversation took an unexpected turn. Everyone wanted answers. Everyone wanted details. The brother explained that he had been watching small moments. Tiny details nobody else paid attention to. The way your person's mood improved after hearing something connected to you. The way they became thoughtful whenever your name appeared. The way they defended you without even realizing it. The way they remembered little things others would forget. Piece by piece, observation by observation, he revealed a picture that had been forming for months. Maybe longer. Your person sat there speechless. Because hearing those moments described out loud made them impossible to ignore. Stay till the end. Because what happened next became the most important part of the entire night. The brother paused and said something that instantly changed the atmosphere. He said, "I don't think you're afraid of what could happen." Everyone listened carefully. Then he finished the sentence. "I think you're afraid because you know how much this matters." Complete silence. Nobody expected those words. Nobody. Even your person looked stunned. Because deep inside, they knew there was truth there. Sometimes people are not afraid of failure. Sometimes they are afraid of significance. Afraid of how deeply something touches their heart. Afraid of how much they could lose. Afraid of how much they care. And in one sentence, the brother had exposed everything. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. Because after those words, something changed inside your person. For the first time that night, they stopped trying to avoid the truth. They stopped trying to hide behind uncertainty. They stopped pretending the connection was ordinary. The conversation had revealed something undeniable. Something everyone could now see. And then the brother delivered one final observation. A statement so powerful that nobody forgot it. He looked around the room and calmly said, "Some people enter your life and leave a memory. Others enter your life and change the direction of your story." The room fell silent once again. Because everyone knew exactly who he was talking about. And for the rest of the night, nobody questioned whether you mattered. The only question left was how important your role in your person's story had already become. And what your person would finally decide to do now that the truth had been spoken out loud. The most surprising part of last night did not happen during the conversation. It happened after it. When everyone slowly returned home. When the room became quiet. When the voices disappeared. When the lights grew dim. That was when the brother's words became impossible to ignore. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Your person replayed every sentence in their mind. Every observation. Every question. Every truth that had been spoken. They tried to focus on something else, but they couldn't. Because for the first time, someone had said out loud what they had secretly been feeling for a very long time. And once a truth is spoken clearly, it becomes difficult to hide from it again. The night continued. Hours passed. Yet your person remained awake. Not because they were confused. Not because they were uncertain. But because they were finally seeing things from a different perspective. The brother had changed the entire conversation, but more importantly, he had changed the way your person viewed the connection itself. Suddenly, small moments began returning to their memory. Tiny details they had forgotten. Conversations. Smiles. Feelings. Unexpected coincidences. Moments that once seemed ordinary now felt meaningful. One by one, those memories appeared again, creating a picture that was impossible to ignore. Then something remarkable happened. Your person remembered a moment involving you that nobody else knew about. A moment they had kept completely private. A moment that changed everything inside them. And as they remembered it, they realized something shocking. Their feelings had been growing much longer than they admitted. Much longer. Stay till the end. Because what they realized next became the biggest revelation of the entire night. They suddenly understood why hearing your name always affected them. Why certain thoughts always returned. Why certain memories stayed alive. Why certain possibilities refused to disappear. It wasn't coincidence. It wasn't temporary. It wasn't random. It was important. The brother had seen it. The family had sensed it. And now your person could no longer deny it. The realization felt powerful. Calm. Certain. Clear. For the first time, they stopped questioning whether you mattered. That question had finally been answered. The only thing left was understanding just how much you mattered. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. Because before the night ended, one final thought entered your person's mind. A thought that arrived unexpectedly. A thought that instantly changed everything. They remembered the brother's final statement. Some people change the direction of your story. Those words echoed again and again. And suddenly, your person asked themselves a question they had never asked before. What if the reason this connection keeps returning is because it was never meant to be forgotten? What if every delay had a purpose? What if every twist had a reason? What if every step had been leading somewhere important all along? The more they thought about it, the more impossible it became to dismiss. Something had shifted. Something had awakened. Something had become clear. And when the morning finally arrived, your person was not thinking the same way they had the day before. Last night had changed everything. A single conversation. A single observation. A single voice. The brother spoke a few simple words, yet those words transformed the entire evening and left a lasting impact that nobody expected. Especially your person. Because sometimes the biggest turning point is not a grand event. Sometimes it is one honest conversation that reveals a truth everyone can finally see. And last night, that truth was connected to you. If this story touched your heart, remember to subscribe, share this message with someone who needs it, and let this journey continue. Because what your person realizes next may be even more surprising than what happened last night. The following day felt different from the moment it began. Nothing around your person had changed, yet everything felt different inside. The conversation from last night continued echoing through their mind. Every word their brother spoke seemed stronger now than it had sounded in the moment. Sometimes the truth arrives quietly. Sometimes it hides inside a simple sentence. And sometimes one person notices what everyone else misses. That was exactly what happened. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Your person woke up with a realization they could no longer avoid. For so long, they had focused on questions. Questions about timing. Questions about possibilities. Questions about what the future might hold. But after last night, those questions began fading away. In their place came something unexpected. Clarity. A calm, undeniable clarity. The brother had not predicted anything. He had not forced any conclusions. He had simply pointed out what was already there. And now your person could finally see it for themselves. They began looking back at all the moments connected to you. Not just the obvious ones. The small ones. The quiet ones. The moments nobody else would ever understand. The moments that seemed insignificant at the time but now carried incredible meaning. One by one, those memories returned. And with every memory came a stronger realization. You had become part of their story long before they admitted it. Then something happened that surprised even your person. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, they felt grateful. Grateful for every conversation. Grateful for every lesson. Grateful for every unexpected turn. Because they suddenly understood that every experience connected to you had shaped them in some way. Stay till the end. Because this became the final revelation. The revelation that changed everything. As the day continued, your person remembered the exact moment when their brother looked around the room and spoke with complete certainty. The moment when everyone became silent. The moment when the entire conversation changed direction. The moment when the brother said, "Some people change the direction of your story." Those words had seemed powerful the night before. But now they felt unforgettable. Because your person finally understood what they meant. Some people arrive and disappear. Some people become memories. But a rare few become turning points. A rare few leave such a lasting impact that life can never return to the way it was before. And whether they wanted to admit it or not, your person had begun seeing you as one of those rare people. Don't skip. Something huge is waiting for you. Because the greatest surprise was not what the brother said. The greatest surprise was what happened after he said it. He gave your person permission to stop pretending. Permission to stop minimizing their feelings. Permission to stop acting as though the connection was ordinary. That was the real turning point. That was the real change. Not the conversation itself, but the understanding that came from it. And as the sun slowly moved across the sky, your person found themselves thinking about one simple truth. If someone else's observation could reveal so much, then perhaps the feelings were stronger than they ever realized. Perhaps the connection mattered more than they admitted. Perhaps the story was bigger than they imagined. Last night began as an ordinary conversation. It became something unforgettable. One comment became a discussion. One discussion became a realization. One realization became a turning point. And at the center of it all was you. The person nobody expected to become the focus of the evening. The person whose name changed the atmosphere. The person whose presence transformed the entire conversation without even being in the room. That is why your person's brother changed everything last night. Because he saw the truth before anyone else was ready to say it. And once that truth was spoken, nothing felt the same again. The conversation ended. The night ended. But the impact remained. And sometimes that impact becomes the beginning of an entirely new chapter.